Shalom Chavrim, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live, and war on North Korea's doorstep seems to be more realistic than ever before. The Chosan.com Politics is reporting, this happens to be a North Korean language news source here, that is saying that moving lined up dozens of medium trucks to the North China border zone at night, war Nana public heart punch. Is what they're saying here. As you can see here, this is some of the photographs that are coming out of China showing these particular trucks lining up on North Korea's border there in northern China there, northern North Korea as well. To kind of give you an idea where we're looking at right here, this is the province Jilin, and this is the very area where they are. This, of course, being North Korea all down through here, and Russia also having troops over in Vladivostok, over in that region there. So China putting troops up in this area as well. Now, there are some saying that President Trump has put more pressure on China to do something about the situation, and whether or not China is actually gearing up to help protect North Korea from a U.S. invasion, or whether or not China is really going to join in with the United States to try to stop this massive movement of nuclear weapons in North Korea, still remains to be seen. It says here, a Chinese newspaper, Daily NK, quoted a source in North Korea as saying yesterday that dozens of Chinese military trucks lined up around the Tumen River in Yanji City, Jilin province, reported. According to the reports, a truck similar to a military truck used by the Chinese People's Liberation Army near Yanji City on the 25th of last month moved its tails to its tail for 4 days. They are said to have used nighttime mainly to avoid the eyes of the residents. So 4 days they were moving in this military convoys up into this region here. Now, if we remember, we reported here on Israeli News Live sometime back that the Chinese had also moved the Donfeng 41, the intercontinental ballistic missile that carries up to 10 nuclear warheads, and of course too close to North Korea to actually be used on North Korea. So why has China moved the Donfeng 41, their feared nuclear ICBM, to that northern region as well is really not quite known for sure. And not forgetting that China has a written document with North Korea, they would protect it in the event of an invasion. So it's still kind of hard to believe that China is going to join in with the United States to try to stop Kim Jong-un, but that can't be ruled out completely either. Also, going back into Ukraine, 53,000 feet over Donetsk, Ukraine, the U.S. Air Force RQ-4, a Global Hawk UAV, has been doing some spying on eastern Ukraine there. So much for the United States not being involved with the Ukrainian military, or are they doing it without Ukraine's blessing? I highly doubt it. Anyway, here, if you know anything about this particular area, Donetsk is right in this region here. Luhansk is up here in this region here. And this Global Hawk actually is covering all of eastern Ukraine there, seeing exactly what type of military forces are in there. They flew, of course, right straight across Ukraine through Ukrainian airspace there, unimpeded at 53,000 feet. So the question is, why is the U.S. Air Force using such a drone? Of course, a drone also that is capable of carrying missiles as well on board. Very interesting situation. On top of that, we also have RT reporting here, glory to Ukraine, death to the enemy's thousand march to mark the Nazi collaborator Bandera. That's Stepan Bandera, by the way. His birthday on RT. Of course, he died in 1959, but there is huge protests that support him. And of course, he actually went on both sides of the fence there. He supported Nazi Germany back in the early 40s there, and then after Ukraine became liberated, then he turned his back on the Nazis, ended up being imprisoned and put into a concentration camp as well. So he always fought for an independent Ukraine, and no doubt as RT is reporting him more as a Nazi collaborator, and yes, that is true. He was clearly a Nazi collaborator early on in his push for Ukraine to be independent to begin with from from the government powers at that time there. Just kind of shows that they are gearing up for a massive war there against eastern Ukraine, and no doubt as well against Crimea. That is only about to come. We know Petro Poroshenko has said that he will not rest until all of Ukraine is once again liberated from the Russian, as he considers it, the Russian threat there. It seems like Russia, though, has been there more to protect the majority Russian public there that lives in eastern and as well as Crimea. There's very strong Russian background of those people there, and Russia seems to be trying to defend those people from the oppression of the neo-Nazi, and clearly a neo-Nazi regime that is working inside of Ukraine today. Definitely not liberators of the people at all, but bringing back the neo-Nazi type of ideology that Adolf Hitler once used himself there. Moving on, as well, as many of you are already fully aware of, Iran right now, nine more have been killed, hundreds arrested overnight as the national protests in Iran have continued, according to the local media. And it has been a lot of young people. In fact, if we look at some of the other tweets that we've retweeted today, President Trump is threatening to do new sanctions on Iran over the crackdown against the protesters. I think that'd be a great idea. And at the same time, while the feminist group Silent as Women Protest here, the Daily Wire, speaking about the group here in America, the Women's March, are going to standing up for the Islamic ideology. The women over in Iran are marching for freedom. I'll kind of give you an idea of one of these here. This girl right here with her jihad off and waving it around in protest there. I have seen all types of protests like this in Iran right now. While our women are fighting with the empty hands, some coward men hide behind their guns. They attack us with gun. We attack them with our voice. Please support us with your tweets. This is again as women that are protesting for religious freedom and not for being suppressed by the women. This man right here, Armin Navabi, also showing his mother before the revolution that happened back in 1979, where there was religious freedom in Iran, and of course afterwards, what she had to be like afterwards there, the oppressiveness of the Iranian government there, enforcing, you know, with everything they can, their ideology of what should be going on there. But there are just amazing amount of protests there. I actually had one video there where the Iranian guard was actually running over the protesters with their vehicle. Very, very sad situation there to see this. Let me see if I can find that real quick here. Geez, I don't know where that tweet is now, but the Iranian military guard, using their vehicle as a weapon against protesters, was running them down in the streets there. I've got to have that on here. I know I do, and I'd love for you guys to be able to see this here. Let me just see if I can quickly find that real fast here. I actually retweeted quite a few of these tweets here that was going on. I don't actually see it there, though. But anyway, yes, I actually watched that just earlier. Check out our Twitter page. Those of you that are not following us on Twitter, we do a lot of things on there that we don't do here on Israeli News Live, just sharing some of these other tweets out there. There's several different pages out there with my name on it, but what you want is the one you see on your screen here, Israeli News Live at Stephen Danoon, which is my pen name that I write under, Stephen Danoon. You can check that out. Join us there on Twitter, because we're always bringing out other news that we see that happens on there that we don't necessarily get a chance to bring everything out here. I'm Stephen Danoon. You're watching Israeli News Live. Shalom and blessings to you today.